Hello, so welcome to another vlog. Now to start with, we're recording this on the Sony Ericsson Xperia. To date we've been using a multitude of different cameras, but we thought we'd better start using some of the cameras on the devices that we actually sell and tell you about. So this is the Xperia that we're using at this time, recording in 720p. So first things first, LG 3D, we have one here. This is a final pre-production unit. It's got final software, final hardware, but is not retail boxed. They're due to come into stock on the 11th of July. So let's take a quick look at what you get here. So you've got the 4.3-inch touchscreen display. You've got a front-facing camera. You've got your touch-sensitive navigation buttons, as this is an Android device. Microphone on the bottom. You've got a 3D switch here, which activates the camera application or flicks between 2D and 3D mode when in the camera or video application. Got a little volume rocker here. On the side we've got an HDMI out and micro USB ports. The HDMI out is going to be good if you want to stream or take your content from your LG through to your large television in your lounge or your home or your office, and of course that will take 3D content as well. You've got a 3.5mm headphone jack, and you've got the standard power button, and of course most importantly on the device here we've got the dual cameras for 3D photography. So they're 5 megapixel in resolution, so you can shoot in 2D or 3D mode. Of course 2D only uses this one camera, and a point to note here that the flash only works when you're shooting in 2D, not 3D. So the two cameras are used for 3D photos and video, and it's pretty impressive, this device, in terms of what it has to offer. So just bring you in here to the home screen. So you've got your standard Android experience here. I'm not going to talk about that, but what I will just quickly show you is the 3D space. Now you probably won't see this very clearly on the video, but you actually have a menu here for 3D features. The majority of the time you'll be using this device in 2D, but you can access the 3D content through this menu here. So you've got the likes of the camera, which does take a couple of seconds just to actually load up. That could be something to do with this software. So we can flick between 2D and 3D mode. Here you'll probably see some blurriness. You can shoot video and pictures. So this is coming in on the 11th of July. Now we thought this was going to be the only device available at this time with 3D, but HTC have pulled out the stops to bring the Evo 3D, their equivalent of the LG 3D. That's due to come in late August in a very similar specification. So the Evo 3D does too have the dual cameras on the back, both at 5 megapixel. Android device, it's got a 4.3-inch screen, so there's a lot of similarities. This one will of course be here sooner, and LG has sort of set the mark. They announced this a lot earlier, and it'd be interesting to see what your take is on these devices. Personally, I'm not convinced by 3D as yet. I think it's a little bit of a gimmick, but I have to say I used the LG 3D for the first time and was pretty blown away by the capabilities of the 3D camera. If you get it right, the 3D content looks fantastic. So I came from a bit of a pessimistic point of view, but was actually quite surprised. And there isn't a lot of compromise to be made in terms of thickness for the two cameras, considering this still has a 1500 mAh battery. The Evo 3D will of course have HTC Sense user interface, which is quite nice for some people. I think HTC have got quite a polished user interface there for a lot of people that like that. There's a lot of nice features, but if you like a plainer Android experience or are not too fussed by that, then the Evo 3D will be available sooner, and really has taken quite a lot of the limelight in terms of its 3D capabilities, and I don't think there'll actually be a lot between the devices. You know, the processing power, the onboard memory is all fairly similar, so there's not a lot between the two. I guess in time we'll tell whether there are any other differences between the two devices in terms of user performance and what have you over time. The other device that's now available is the Sony Ericsson Xperia Neo. This was due to come into stock earlier this year, but was delayed due to the earthquake in Japan, and subsequently the delays meant that what was due to be a fantastic device took its time to get here, but it is now here, and I think it's a pretty good bit of kit. It's essentially a Sony Ericsson Xperia with a smaller screen. It is a little bit thicker, price points are quite similar, but you've got a lot of the same features. So you've got HDMI out for your HD content, you've got a front-facing camera, you've got an 8.1 megapixel rear-facing camera, you've got a dedicated camera button, your standard Android keys. It's a nice little unit and compares quite a bit to the HTC Desire, the Desire S, in terms of features and performance. You've even got DLNA on there, you've got Wi-Fi N. So I think this is quite a nice little device if you don't want the super large screen, because at 3.7 inches this is still quite pocketable, and in terms of overall size, whilst it's thicker than the likes of the Desire and the Desire S, you've actually got the curvature which makes it feel quite comfortable in the hand, and if you actually look there it sits quite comfortably. So that's the Sony Ericsson Xperia Neo. I'd like to hear your feedback on the vlogs that are coming. We're trying to improve all the time, and I think you're seeing some improvements so far, but without your feedback we can't make any changes. So I'd like to hear that, and if you could email us or put some comments below, that would be greatly appreciated. Until next time, thanks for watching.